Hi friends, our garden is going into the 4th year now, and most of our mango trees have been planted 3 years. Some are even 2 years, but most of our 3 years now, and we wanted to show you which mango trees flowered this year and which didn't. So last year I was being worried because the way we grow our trees is without any synthetic fertilizers or without any, not even organic fertilizers. We just do natural fertilizers like mulch, and we sometimes cut banana tree trunks and put them there around. So we try to use whatever is available in our garden and use them as a food source for the trees themselves. So let's see who has flowered and who has decided to rest for this year. I never was of the opinion to force a young mango tree to flower using like chemical fertilizers, which I could. There are many brands out there in the market which you all know. If you go to mango growers group, you will find, oh, okay, my mango didn't flower, why don't you put Osmocote, why don't you put, I don't even know, that name is very much familiar to me because everyone says load it with Osmocote or load it with 0050 or load it with this and that. I'm sure the trees need all the vitamins, all the micronutrients, and we will be showing you that some of the trees look healthy, some don't look extremely healthy. There are some reasons why they are so, but I wanted to show you which mango trees flowered this year. So let's walk with me. So this is our Super Glen. People have been asking about Super Glen a lot. So you can see this is, I think this is probably 9th year. It's a seedling tree, obviously. It's not a known variety. And it's growing like a dwarf. I haven't pruned it much. So one benefit is it's not a huge, humongous tree. And last year it had 1 or 2 panicles. And this year it decided to go full tree, go into full bloom. So we have this one going into full bloom. On to the right, you see here, this is peach cobbler. So peach cobbler is also in full bloom this year. So peach cobbler also seems like it's blooming very well. On my left, very close, and I understand I have been planting them pretty close. This is Mallika, and Mallika also looks like it's blooming very well. I don't do much pruning, so this has stayed kind of a compact tree. On my right here, from the right of peach cobbler, and also planted probably like 8 feet distance from peach cobbler, this is Glen, and this year Glen also decided to go into full bloom. And I didn't put anything different this year, like I think the cool and the dry weather really triggered a lot of flowering, and maybe this year they established, because this is going into year 4, so it seems like once they establish and the root system is well built, they get into flowering very easily. Behind me, this whole tree is ugly berry. It has kind of suffered, and probably it's because of the huge tree behind, but still the branches that are facing more towards the sunlight here have decided to flower. So you can see a lot of branches that are flowering. On to the right here, this is a multi-cocktail tree. So we have Venus. Most of the Venus branches that I have grafted, you can see here. So all the Venus grafts from last year have flowered. This is all Venus grafts up there. All the Venus grafts have flowered. There is also there's also Phoenix here. So there's also Phoenix here that has also flowered. So Phoenix graft has flowered. This is on a sweet tart tree. So there are many branches of sweet tart as well that have not flowered. So it's strange that on the same sweet tart tree, Venus has flowered as a graft and Phoenix has flowered, but sweet tart has not flowered. Very strange. One interesting thing I will show you. Come on. So many people know about this. There was a small graft I did as an experiment of to how you can graft a small branch onto a thick trunk. So this was last year, maybe, yes, I have to check the date exactly. It must have been last year. And this is a phoenix graft onto our seedling tree, Super Glen, and it has also flowered. It's strange. Very interesting. This tree is probably 2 years old. It's not 3 years old. It was bought as a 3-gallon 2 years ago, and last year also it flowered. This is M4, and this year it's full of blooms everywhere. It's, I think, every branch went into bloom, and I think it's for us, at least at this microclimate, our microclimate and our soil, it looks like a heavy bearer and also a compact tree. And last year also it was blooming, so it's not like it's skipping years. At least for us, up to this point, it's blooming every year. Behind me, that compact, bushy, leggy tree that you see is coconut cream. This is its first year blooming after 4 years, and if you look at the trunk, it's really thick. I think I had bought it as a 7-gallon actually, and after 3 years it has decided to bloom. There are a couple of blooms that are mixed blooms. You can see here. Actually, there was a leaf. You can see here otherwise. So this is a mixed bloom, and there are some just branches as well. So, but no complaints, because this is our first year coconut cream blooming. So I'm really happy that it decided to bloom no matter what. Some of the trees are very new, like this one here is an 015 grafted onto fruit punch. So strangely, even if it looks like the graft, it's pretty thick, so many branches, but 015 decided not to bloom for us. And fruit punch also only has one branch, and it has nothing to do with sunlight. This was getting the most amount of sunlight, whereas if you look at M4, it is behind a huge hibiscus, so it just gets morning 2-3 hours of sunlight. It doesn't get much sunlight, and still it's blooming, so it has not much. Strangely enough, we liked Val Carrie mango so much last year, so we have it in a 15-gallon. I was thinking I will graft it to another tree, what to do, and meanwhile, even while in the pot, it has decided to bloom. So it looks like a good bloomer, and I will be planting it into the ground very soon. This here is an Angie mango tree which has flowered last year as well, so this year also it has flowered a lot. I had grafted a Piña Colada onto Angie's. This is from the last year's graft, so it grew good enough to have multiple branches of flowering. And this branch is also a Piña Colada graft, and look, it's just from last year's graft it decided to flower as well. So Piña Colada also looks like it's a good bloomer here. It's the only one that has not bloomed is orange sorbet tree. It also looks like a big tree already, but it hasn't bloomed so far for us, and the sweet tart. So those two are non-bloomers. There is another. So this I bought last year. It has Sonpari grafted onto. Sonpari is this one. So when you graft a lot, you have to really find out which one is yours. Yes, so this branch is Sonpari, and it has a mixed bloom. It looks like mainly leaf, but there probably are flowers as well. And so this one that goes up is Alampur Banesan. So this Alampur Banesan has decided not to flower, but the Sonpari, everywhere where it is grafted, is flowering. There are flowers here. Probably some flower will open up here as well, and then there. So hopefully we can get some Sonpari fruit this year. This behind me is a super Julie tree. I had bought it as 7-gallon 2 years ago, and it has established good enough to flower. You can see some leaf damage here that is from a bad mulch we got, and I was really worried because the mulch had something we got from FPL, and we didn't know. And it happens sometimes that there are toxic chemicals that people spray in their trees, and FPL just cuts them and brings. So I was worried that it would harm the tree, but it looks like the new blooms and the new flushes did not get affected, and it's a lot of blooms. So hopefully it's just once the mulch decomposes, it won't affect. Yes, there is one more tree behind which we almost forgot. There is a carry bush, a carry tree. Not that I wanted to make a bush out of that tree, but it's just that's how it has grown. A lot of lateral branches, a lot of upgoing branches. I was under the impression, and everywhere people tell, make your tree into a bush. Only the side branches flower, the vertical branches don't flower. Doesn't seem like all the vertical branches have flowered. There is a small graft of Lil Gem which also flowered from last year. So Lil Gem also seems like a easy producer, easy bloomer. And it's so dense that I'm worried that the anthracnose will affect it. We have some more mango trees in our dwarf garden, is what we call it, dwarf. Not really dwarf, but they're slow growing mango trees, so we put them together in one place. Behind me is a Neelum tree, which is a good bloomer for us year after year, and this year more branches are blooming, so pretty good. This tree also has stayed low and spreading for us, so it's also kind of growing like a donut. On my left here, which has strange, this tree does not flush many times a year for us. This is a guava mango tree, and it is doing both. It is flushing leaves, but it's also flushed a lot of blooms, and this is the first time it has bloomed so much. I think last year there was just one panicle, and that also dried off. It couldn't hold any fruit. So hopefully this year we will have some. But as you can see, this unfortunately, at least for us, this tree is prone to anthracnose. It looks like. So we will see how it will do. So this is our dwarf garden. This is a Julie, as you can see. Julie always goes into a full tree bloom. So last year also we had Julie mango from it. So this one was just planted this year. This year, maybe September, around August, September. This is a Dwarf Hawaiian, and it has blooms already and some flushes as well. I'm not sure. I don't tamper with trees that much. I just let them be. I provide them water from the pond if it doesn't rain for 2-3 months. Otherwise, it started to rain, so I won't do anything. If the tree can hold the fruit, I'll let the tree hold the fruit. What actually it will do is, not for Dwarf Hawaiian, but other trees, if you don't want the tree to grow super fast and vigorous, you have to let the tree hold the fruit so that it will use the energy in the fruiting and not use everything in vegetative growth. This is a Pickering mango tree. It also seems like it's a very productive, and same, every panicle, every branch seems like it's full of flowers. This one is still small to flower. It is our orange essence grafted to cotton candy, so it hasn't flowered. Nothing. I mean, for some trees we just have to wait for them to establish. As I said, I wouldn't comment too much. I'm very interested in this tree this year. This has two trees. This one that you can see here, these blooms are from Arka Neelkiran. It's one of the Indian variety, and this whole is Jahangir. There is one flower here, probably there will be some flowers from there as well, and someone is coming from there. It's a little late flowering, it looks like, but first time flowering, and it's we'll see how it does. There's some smaller trees that we just planted this year, and I wasn't expecting anything to happen. So this is a Lil Gem, and This is our honey kiss tree, which also first time is going into a lot of blooms. Not much on the top branches, but the lower branches have a lot of blooms. There's only one, there's 3 more mango trees, so it's taking a lot of time, but we have so many trees. This is a Doc Mai that also has a lot of blooms. Not all the branches, but lemon zest planted as 7-gallon this year did not want to bloom. Actually, it bloomed, but it's not as much as I would think. There are like some branches here, but I think it will become a lot bigger tree this year. I have decided not to trim it. What I would do is I will just pull all the branches down, but not do much trimming this year. I'll let it grow big. This tree is one of the many trees that have not flowered yet for us. It did suffer from, I think, there was a horse manure that we were bringing 2 years ago, which we didn't know that it's not good. It's like a hot manure, and it burnt a lot of its leaves. Found out that it's not really good. I know some people do very well with cow manure, but for us it didn't really do well. It burnt all the leaves. I couldn't decide at that time whether it was the salt water or the manure, but it looks like it's the manure, because once it's washed out, all the new flushes have been good. This is lemon meringue, Popu Kalai, PPK, and it hasn't really flowered for us, same as sweet tart and orange sorbet. So just patience. Maybe next year, maybe there's a lot of shade, which I will uncover. But there is also a lot of shade for this mango tree, and still it is full of flowers. This is Sugarloaf. It was planted 2 years ago as a 3-gallon. It hasn't grown vigorously fast. It's kind of compact for us, and also it's full of flowers. So I think that's it for all the bloomers. This year was an experiment of doing like nothing for the 3rd year in a row, and it seems like all they needed was cold and dry spell, which they got, and decided to bloom. Now the bigger problem is what to do. Blooming by itself is not enough. There are a lot of problems in Florida, like anthracnose, powdery mildew, and that's why people start asking, how often do I spray copper when the blooms start? Every 2 weeks, every 1 week. Probably was thinking of doing last year. This year I completely don't want to. We decided to use a Trichoderma and see if it works. Maybe it will not work. I'm not saying that I'm an expert, and please do not comment if you are an expert saying that, oh, it doesn't work. See, we are having an open mind here. It's very easy to follow what everyone else is doing, and there won't be any new discovery, any new invention that way, because the earth will always stay flat if you don't say that it is round someday. Someone has to come out and say, okay, maybe this thing also works. So maybe it doesn't. So it's just a scientific approach. It's an open mind approach. It's an experimental approach. So we will see how they will do with the Trichoderma spray. Right now we are doing, I know the rains are coming, and now every couple of days it will be raining. It will be very difficult to catch up with them. We did every week, once before even the flowers opened, and probably we will do one more time. Please research what Trichoderma is. Bacterium that is naturally occurring in the soil, that fights against nematodes, that fights against fungus. So when we spray into the leaves, into the flowers, into the flower buds, it stays there, but it also drips some into the soil, which is actually good. It's not killing your beneficial. Copper actually it's an antifungal, so it may even kill all your mycorrhizae in the soil when you spray like that. And same with sulfur. Unless you are a commercial grove that has to sell mangoes this year, it's okay to do what they are doing if you are also a commercial one that has to sustain on selling mangoes. But if you are a backyard grower like me, who just wants to eat healthy, homegrown, organic, non-chemical, chemical-free mangoes, then stay away from that, find other ways. So going back to Trichoderma, it's a healthy bacterium that that we recently read a research paper where it also it's anti-nematode as well, so it's good for your soil if you spray. And with Trichoderma you can add micronutrients if you really think you need micronutrients for your mango trees, because you know, boron, zinc, manganese, magnesium, iron, so many micronutrients are there that a mango tree will need. So I'm not promoting do nothing for your tree. Find out if your tree is unhealthy. Only treat if you see that there are signs of deficiency. And hopefully soon enough, if I get time from my work, I'm planning to make a video on, because our garden is such a neglected garden. There are trees that today I didn't show you, those trees, they didn't flower. There are trees that are sick looking, that have deficiencies in the leaves. So I'm going to make a video on those trees that have deficiencies that are obvious in the leaves, sometimes in the trunk as well. So we will try to find out what deficiency there is by looking at the leaves. This leaf doesn't show any deficiency. Actually, it's a little too dark and it could be a lot of nitrogen, which I don't mind because there is good flowering as well. So if it hadn't flowered and the leaf looked very dark green, I would say, okay, too much nitrogen, too much mulch. But it looks like all good. So if there is deficiency, add some micronutrients in your Trichoderma and spray. Very lazy people we are, and you saw how many mango trees we have, and it's not just mangoes, we have so many other things growing. So I don't think we'll catch up. Eventually I don't think you will see from here, but we have like a huge mango tree in our neighbor's yard. It's a Tommy Atkins. They don't spray anything, they don't fertilize, and there is no fungus problem there. So I think it's all about, from my experience as I'm seeing, if you allow the tree to grow big and there's a lot of air underneath, there will be less problem with that. But we have limited space now. We want 50 plus mango varieties in less than half an acre. So because of the lack of space, we are making more of mango bush rather than mango trees, and that will not allow enough air underneath, and that's where copper will come and all the antifungal stuff will come in. But we'll see how things will go. We'll update how much flowers will turn into fruits. Maybe we will have none, but we won't be shy and hiding and saying that we have the best organic growing mangoes in the world. No, not like that. It's an experiment, something to learn. If no mangoes form out of all these blooms, we'll still tell you that we couldn't have any mangoes, and we will probably try something else next year and see if that works for anthracnose and powdery mildew. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't take it as hard and fact rule, because I keep on getting comments, you do this, you do that. That's you can do whatever you want in your garden, and there is no fixed rule to anything, as long as you have enough courage to risk, because this is a risk. If you don't spray copper, maybe I won't get any mangoes. So what? I'll invent something new. I'll discover something new, because new discovery always requires sacrifice, and if you are not able to sacrifice having less mangoes this year, then you will go and spray things that everyone else is spraying. So hopefully you enjoyed our tour and got some idea, got some inspiration from what we are doing, and maybe you are also doing something different and want to share with us. So please put in the comment. We would love to hear from you, as long as it's a constructive comment and constructive idea. That's always welcome from our side. Thank you very much.